Hey guys, Trigger John coming at you with another Awaken Chaos Era video. For those of you who are new to this channel, this is just a offset of my main channel where I was doing a lot of Awaken Chaos Era content. I've now kind of broke them up into two different channels. One that is my main channel, which is currently doing Diablo Immortal, and this channel I'll be doing any of the gacha games, primarily just Awaken Chaos Era. I've actually really enjoyed this game. And they've started to release a lot more characters, lot more things. And with that being said, we're going to go ahead and cover the new champions that were released. We'll also talk about probably maybe the limited summons very vaguely. And that'll be it for today's video. However, if you go back, I will have a lot more content on the channel that will be kind of going over a lot other more in-depth details on the game moving forward. All right, so let's go ahead and let's start with some of the new champions that have been added to the game. They've done a lot of new updates. As you can see here, I am currently actually on Rain Eagle's account. One of our whales in the community, he's currently deployed, and I've been maintaining his account. Now, part of maintaining his account is I got to kind of make some choices here and decisions on what kind of champions he needs for his account. Overall, and we're gonna go ahead and we're just gonna talk in general about some of the new champions, because as you can see here, these new champions are kind of stacking up. He hasn't been able to get them all right away, and now there's a lot more new ones, and we need to talk about them. So first things first, let's go ahead and talk about one of the first new champions that's currently advertised, Garnet. Now, I vaguely looked at these kits the other day, and they're kind of exciting. But let's go ahead and let's start with Garnet. The first thing I want to note before we even look at her kit is you will see that her speed is an S tier speed because she's at 136. This is pretty fast. I mean, honestly, in comparison, there's not a few champions that, or not a lot of champions that have a speed up to that, so to speak. And her attack is also halfway decent. Now, so is the crit rate, to be honest. The health and defense is very low, so it's going to make her super squishy. But I think when you see her kit, you'll kind of understand that it's okay if she's a little squishy. So let's start off with her ultimate ability. Deals 120% damage to all enemies that scales based on the difference between this target speed and this character's speed. Inflicts no positive effects for 2 turns on the target, plus a 50% chance of sleep for 1 turn. What does this mean? This means that she is an AoE damage dealer. She has a 3-turn cooldown, which is amazing for an AoE damage dealer. It's 120% damage. That's a little bit above average. Average is about 100. The target speed and this character's speed inflicts no positive effects for 2 turns. So this basically how this is going to work is that depending on the target speed and this character's speed, is going to affect the damage and the no positive effects actually landing, right? So that damage is scales based on the difference between the target speed and this character speed. So that's going to be step 1. So if she's fast, she's going to do a little bit more damage than 120%. If she's slower than the enemy, she's going to do a little bit less. So in arena, she may struggle a little bit going against fast teams. However, dungeons, void tower, you know, all the other aspects of the game, honestly, I don't know that you're going to be able to use her in some of the dungeon farming, but you might be able to. Maybe a few strats to use her in. But overall, if she's faster, she's going to do more damage, which is great. So that's like step 1. Inflicts no positive effects for 2 turns on the target is going to be obviously a focus check. But keep in mind, you're also making her go fast, so you may not want to rely on getting this no positive effects. And the sleep is okay, but for most of us, they know that sleep effects aren't necessarily the greatest, because it's very easy to get woken up, unfortunately. Now let's go ahead and look at the rest of the kit. Her A2 ability here is going to be Curtain of Heaven. Launches 3 strikes against random enemies, each dealing 100% damage that scales with this character's speed while removing 1 positive effect or inflicting defensive down for 2 turns, if without. That's what, why is it worded like that? Launch 3 strikes against random enemies. Okay, so it's a multi-hitter, each dealing 100% damage that scales with this character's speed. Once again, speed is king on her kit. We talked about it on the ultimate. Now we're talking about in the A2. The higher the speed, the better. This is also a 2-turn cooldown, so that's pretty good because it's a 3-hitter, 100% damage, almost a full AoE. Now this damage that scales with this character's speed while removing 1 positive effect or inflicting defensive down. Okay, so what I think this is going to be and how I think this reads is if she removes a positive effect, she will not place defensive down. However, if she cannot remove a positive effect, she places defensive down. I think I think that's how this is worded. I think this is how this is worded. Um, I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but I think that's how this is worded. We'll have to play with her if we get her, but I believe that's how that works. Okay. Now let's talk about A1 launches a strike dealing 120% damage to an enemy and which ricochets between enemies 2 times. Okay. Interesting. Damage scales with this character's speed. So once again, Speed King launches a strike dealing 120% damage to an enemy which ricochets between enemies 2 times. How many enemies? It doesn't specify. So that could be very, very interesting. What I'm seeing so far is she's got a very similar-ish kit to oh, I just forgot. Is it Vance or Jonathan that has a speed kit? But I like that speed seems to synergize all the way through here, and she has that S rank speed, so that's gonna be great. So far this could be really good. She's doing a lot of hits on multiple characters and multiple enemies. So far I'm thinking maybe like a rebel set for her would be good. Even a the counterattack set may be okay for her as well for when she takes a little bit of damage to counterattack. Um, I don't know. We'll kind of. I guess we'll if we get her, we'll have to test it out and see what she can do here. Now, what this is her passive ability. This is grants 1 rage upon the use of an ally's special or ultimate ability following this character's death. Okay, so this is going to be a death ability. This character revives with 50% of max health and all ability cooldowns shortened by 1 turns upon reaching 3 rage. Okay, so basically, interesting. So she can get revived on her own. Let's see what we do here. Grants 1 rage upon the use of an ally special or okay. This character revives with fit of all her abilities shortened by 1 turn upon reaching rage. So basically, if you have your 3 team members use their ultis, she comes back alive. She's like a this reminds me of a character from Raid Shadow Legends. And which is funny because even the graphics of that character are like dark. It's a dark unit. Kind of funny, but anyways, overall, not bad at all. Actually, that kid could be very interesting. So you just make her go fast. She's super squishy. Probably put her in a rebel set. You could put her in a lot of damage sets because she's going to be able to do a lot of damage. Raider set's probably going to be king for her though. Maybe a rebel and raider set, and then send it just to get as much speed as possible. She's gonna have to have focus though. She's gonna have to have focus for the no positive effects. But if you don't care about the defensive down and whatnot, just overall damage, she could do it with Raider set for sure. Not bad, not bad. I'm not opposed to her. I think she'll be pretty good as far as in game details goes. Let's go ahead and let's talk about the other legendary. The reason why we're talking about this is because there is a current summon banner going on. This would be for Garnet and the Holy Armor Virgil. So let's go talk about the Holy Armor Virgil, and we'll see what we feel about them. I have already looked at his kit as well. I am very interested to go through it a little bit slower because I kind of just vaguely went through it. It does look like it'll have some interesting mechanics in the game. Honestly, they may get a little broken in my opinion. So let's talk about Holy Armor Virgil. Start with his ultimate. Deals 250% to an enemy and maximizes the cooldowns on the target's abilities. This attack deals plus 50% damage in the Wings of Light state. Grants a Wings of Light state for 2 turns upon expiration. Okay, so it's a 5-turn cooldown, 250% damage to an enemy and maximizes the cooldown on the target's abilities. Okay, so this literally is like a the Battle Chicken ability here. This attack deals plus 50% damage in the Wings of Light state. So Wings of Light is attack shortened ultimate cooldown by 1 turn and enhance all abilities. So how do we get Wings of Light state? How do we do that? How do we get put ourselves in the Wings of Light? That's the question. Does it tell us? Interesting. So this is not greatly worded. So grants Wings of Light stay for 2 turns upon expiration. So it's literally you. Well, that seems weird. So you proc an ultimate, okay, for 2 turns upon expiration. So when he does his ult, right, you get 2 turns of Wings of Light. If you proc the ult again, it does 50% damage, like an additional damage, which is cool. But to shorten it, you have to attack shorten ultimate cooldowns by 1 turn. So like you have to have some sort of a, well, you're gonna have to rely on gear, right, to proc additional attacks. Unless maybe, let's keep reading through the kit. Maybe there's some additional attack synergy in here. Let's see. A 2 deal 100% damage to all enemies and removes 1 positive effect from each. Okay. Definitely note that it's an AoE strip 1 debuff with a further bonus attack of the main target for 100% damage upon removal. So if you target the main champion and they have a debuff that can be removed, that's 200% damage to them. That's really good, especially on a 3-turn cooldown. This attack ignores 50% defense and the Wings of Light state. Oh, this would be really good for, so if you use the ultimate and then you come in and you use Wings of Light, that's going to be 200% damage on your main and ignore 50% defense. It's going to be huge as far as damage goes. And then just chastisement, which I don't know. Interesting. Very interesting here as far as how this is all set up. Okay. A one here, deal 150% damage to an enemy with a 50% chance to extend the cooldowns on this on the target's abilities by 1 turn. So once again, we're battle chickening it up with that increase the cooldowns of abilities. That's always a broken ability. So we got an A1 and an ulti that can do that. Chance to trigger increase to 100% if affected by Wings of Light. So it's going to be a literally proc the ultimate and do your A2 and then do your A1, and you're going to be able to have the full effect of the ultimate, which then leaves 2 more turns of the ultimate. However, cooldown by 1 turn, attacks shorten. So this would literally put this at, so 5-turn cooldown, procced. That would be at 4 turns. You proc this one. That puts this down to 3 turns then, because you've already procced it. You use this one. This will proc it down to 1. So really, your ultimate is only 1 turn away from being active every single time if you go A3, A2, A1. Okay. And then I'm assuming if we put in, like, I don't know, like maybe not curse set, but man, I wonder what set would be good here. There's a couple of thoughts here on possibly if you could make them take additional turns. Maybe that'll shorten this whole thing. We'll have to test that out if we get them. Remove 1 negative effect from this character upon taking damage and restores health equal to 35% of the attack. Oh, Jesus. Okay, well, that's not good. It's a little broken. Removes 1 negative effect from this character upon taking damage and restores health equal to 35% of attack. Wow. Okay. So cleanse, auto cleanse, and if they aren't getting hit for more than 35% damage, or well, I shouldn't say that. If they're not getting hit for 35% of attack of the attacker, it's gonna be impossible to kill this dude. Granted, arena, that's not gonna be too broken. It's making it a little broken in other aspects of the game. But honestly, as long as it's not arena, who cares, right? I mean, arena is the one thing that needs to stay balanced. So, okay. Interesting. I like this kit. Overall, it's a little confusing with the way this Wings of Light works. I feel like they probably could have worded that a little better. But maybe they did, and it's because it gets translated over into English that this is why this gets a little confusing, so to speak. But yeah, it is what it is. Not terrible. I'm okay with them. Overall, both the champions seem pretty good. Let's go ahead and let's bring up what is in the limited summons we talked about at the very beginning of the video. So limited summons right now has our boy Gangello. For anyone who's not aware, it took a lot of money for me to get this Gangello, and I did not get him in the limited summons. However, if you are somebody who does not have Gangello yet, I know there are a lot more options now in the game than there were, especially even as of a few months ago. You had to have Gangello to complete certain content. Now you do not. It's probably going to be advantageous for you to still go for Gangello. He's a very strong character. Basically, the way he gets used is his passive ability here. Once you get him to A2, all enemies take 100% more damage from poison. You use him to stack poisons. You also use his no positive effects for 2 turns. ultimate on a lot of bosses, so that way they can't put up shields, they can't heal. And then this way the poisons will just take down, and it works really well in most of the general dungeon farming comps. And there's a few other areas of the game where Gangelo can be a little bit more useful than others. There's some strats for the Void Tower, there's other strats for even Arena, but Arena, he's not going to take you very far. This character is going to be a must-have for most of all the dungeons. Tia is another one that gets dunked on a lot, who's a very good champion. Frozen is one of the best abilities in the game, in my personal opinion, mainly because you can make that character take so much more damage if you stack everything up correctly. And that CC from Frozen really will help you out tremendously. The last thing we're going to talk about, I guess, is going to be Cyrus. For those of you who don't know, both Tia and Cyrus are essentially the free champions in the game, where you can get them by acquiring other champions and fusing them into it to make them. This is why this banner is kind of a hoodwink for limited summons, so keep that in mind. But Cyrus can do a lot of damage, and a lot of people will sleep on the fact that after a while she actually becomes more of an AoE attacker than she is a single target attacker. So she's very good for a Void Tower, because by the time you get to wave 3, usually she is doing AoE damage, which is a massive increase and influx of damage. So keep that in mind. Overall, limited summons, you get 7 days left on these. I would probably pull on these if you do not have a Gangelo. If you do have an A2 Gangelo already, I would not pull on these limited summons. I would save all your resources for whatever rotation they get into next. We're getting a lot more new champions. So for all we know, we may have a better rotation coming up that you are unaware of. So I hope this helped you out a little bit. It was fun. We had to review a couple of the new champions, talk about the limited summons. Overall, both the new champions look fun. I'm going to probably summon for both those champions on both my accounts here, and we'll see what we can get. If we get something good, we'll have to let you guys know. And yeah, thanks for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.